and welcome to From Maiden to Mother, the podcast, a space to talk about all of the different aspects of motherhood. Today we are chatting with Ashlyn, an incredible mama of two, business owner, wife, and all-around incredible woman. We get into all kinds of topics, including running a business as a mom, balancing relationship, self, and motherhood. And we do talk about miscarriage and infertility. So if that is a touchy subject for you, you might want to skip this one. There is a little bit of a discussion about struggling to conceive. This podcast is geared towards adults, so we do use explicit language. With all that out of the way, let's get into it. Hello, how are you, Ashlyn?
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here in person.
Yay, IRL.
Yes, this is my first podcast that I'm recording in person.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
So it's really fun to connect with someone locally.
Yes, should we cheers our coffee?
Yes, let's cheers our coffee.
Yeah.
It's a Starbucks day.
The best.
Oh, I need it.
Yeah, I'm into Nespresso lately, but I'm like trying to budget my Starbucks, but I didn't go to the office. I was coming here. I'm like, okay, treat yourself. Yes.
It's definitely a treat yourself day.
Yeah.
So can you tell me where you're at in your motherhood journey?
Oh gosh. Okay. So like, I like to say it's almost complete. So like I have two little girls. My one girl is 2 years old and my other baby girl is 4 months old. Aww. So right now I'm like, I don't know what the future holds in terms of, do I want more kids? What does that look like? But if you asked me in this moment right today and I'm being authentic about it, that's my answer. Like, I don't fucking know where I am. I know that I'm complete up until this point. There's a little piece of me that's like, well, could I have a baby boy one day? You know, a little piece of me, but not something I'm willing to explore anytime soon.
I love that because honoring where you're at in the moment can be really hard. A lot of the times people feel like I need to make this decision. Either I'm done having kids or I'm ready for the next one or we're planning when the next one's going to be. But, you know, for a long time, I had no idea what I wanted. And so I just made it up. And that was not authentic.
Okay, fair.
Yeah. I, said I didn't want kids when actually I had been told I couldn't have kids at a young age.
I'm reframing this.
Exactly. And so I that's one thing that I really love about your page and your podcast is that you're always true to where you are in this moment.
Thanks.
Yes.
I'm like, I created like a fitness Instagram, and then I'm like, okay, detour, actually we're going to talk about fertility, actually detour, I had a baby, we're going to talk about fitness again, actually I'm a business owner, and like it's not niche specific, it just is wherever I am, I guess.
And that's the reality of life.
Yeah, and that's personal branding, right?
Yeah.
Like if it's personal, it has to be fucking personal. I can't be a fitness influencer when I'm 40 weeks pregnant. It just didn't feel right.
No.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't have to feel like you have to take a break from a part of yourself
for sure
to honor another part of yourself. They can all exist at the same time. I would love to hear a little bit about what is your day like with two little girls and owning your own business and running your side gig?
I'm like, it's a lot of shit.
Yeah.
So like literally walk you through a day.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so my 2-year-old usually wakes up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I get up with her. I bring her into bed with me. My younger daughter, who's 4 months old, is actually sleeping downstairs with my husband.
Oh,
so people are like, say what? Like you weren't all up night? Like my husband's on pat leave right now. So he's staying home during the day with my little one, and people are like, wow, that must be amazing, you gotta go back to work. And yes and no, right? So there's some days where I'm like, okay, I get my 2-year-old ready for daycare, my younger one wakes up, I let my husband sleep until I'm ready to get out. So I'm literally getting ready for work every day with both my fucking kids.
Wow.
Every day. Yeah. And that's hard enough. Yeah. It's like, I know it's hard to stay at home, but it's also hard to get the fuck out the house with both kids, right? Yeah. And so, for the most part, my 4-month-old right now is staying home with my husband, and I go to work, drop my kid at daycare, and I'm there from like 9 till 3-ish, pick my daughter up from daycare, and then sometimes my husband goes and works out in the evenings. That's when he kind of has his space. Yeah, that's kind of it.
Yes. Do you have any like morning rituals or evening rituals that you do with the girls to kind of ground in the chaos?
Like I have so many rituals that I used to do for myself that right now are getting sloshed around a little bit because my daughter's only 4 months old. You don't know. Is it going to be a good night? Is it going to be a bad night? Like, am I going to be up until... Sometimes I'm up till 12, 1 in the morning, and then I'm up at 5, right? So it's like, I can't fucking sit in the bath and drink a coffee with whipped milk and like have those morning routines and write my fucking affirmations. And those are things I used to do. Yeah. So now you're like, how can I find those in the little moments? So when my daughter wakes up at 5, she knows mom gets a coffee, I get a baba. Every day. Mommy, coffee, Blakey, baba. Yep, 100%. So she sits there, she has her baba, I tickle her back, I have a coffee. Usually, truth be told, I'm probably on my phone, I'm probably flicking through social media, opening an email. not the thing I tell most people to do. Like, don't wake up and just fucking engross yourself. But that's my time where it's like, let me ground myself for the day. What does my schedule look like? What am I facing today? Do I have to wash my hair? Do I have to put on makeup, or are all my clients over the phone? You know, like making those decisions in that morning, because I don't have to be out the door usually till 8 o'clock. So I have a good, like, solid 3 hours in the morning, which I'd probably rather be sleeping, but my kids are up, so
I'm such a morning person. I get up early just to have time to chill.
Yeah, it's nice. I love that. As long as you go to sleep at night.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like that's what it is right now, where it's like, is it going to be a good night? Is it going to be a good night? When my daughter's like 6-7 months old, gasp, I'll probably sleep train her so that we know that my husband and I are both sleeping. So in the morning I can have his assistance. He'll go back to work soon and the routine will change again.
When you had your first,
yes,
did you have the same routine where you guys kind of took shifts with the kid?
Okay, so when I had my first, neither of us had paternity or maternity leave.
Oh, you both were working.
We both had to work.
Oh.
So yeah, it was a little bit more of me hands-on with my daughter. That I don't want to say I'm not hands-on with my 4-month-old, but there's a big gap in the day from 9 till 3 where I'm not there Monday to Thursday. So Friday's my day with my girls. Friday's the day that I don't take clients, so I'm usually with her. But when you have a 4-month-old, like, you feel the energy of your baby, like, in your fucking bones. You want to be with that baby. So sometimes my husband's like, it's so nice, you get to go out in there and chase your passions and make money, and like, you feel purposeful, and it's like, but also as a mom, like, a lot of my purpose is being with my baby. I didn't get a breastfeeding journey. I can't. How the fuck am I going to breastfeed a baby if I'm working? I tried that with my first, and it was, I'm pumping on the way to work. I'm pumping in between clients. I'm pumping on fucking Zoom meetings. He's driving across town to grab a bottle. He gets home. She's still hungry. Holy fuck. I have to come back and grab another one. I didn't have supply to, like, stock it up. So it was a fucking shit show. So, like, you're making sacrifices as a mom in other ways to have that type of lifestyle, to be that person. And it's not always ideal.
No.
So I feel like, yeah, the working mom life isn't glamorized, and stay-at-home mom life isn't fucking glamorized either.
No.
They're both fucking hard in their own way.
It's really hard.
Right?
Yeah.
It is. So I've experienced both, and I was home a lot with my first daughter because my husband was still working in our business.
Yeah. When you had your second, did you and your husband have a conversation like, it needs to be different this time? Or did you just kind of go with the flow and figure things out in those first few months?
No, we had a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big planner. He's not, so I knew that was important. We have, like, family meetings. I actually have an episode on my podcast that says, that time I had a family meeting, and I tell everyone everything we talk about. Like, let's dive deep. We talked about finances. How are we going to budget this? What does our joint account look like? How are we going to pay our mortgage? If you're on paternity leave, how much money are you going to get? What's our allowances for groceries? How much are we going to spend on putting away money for our RRSPs or for our daughter's education? Things like that. Like, you have to communicate on that level to manage a household.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you don't, it gets washed.
Yeah.
Like, you'll get washed out in it. So I am someone, I like a fucking plan.
Yeah.
So definitely this time we did have a plan, except for sleep. Like, and that's something I wanted a better plan with, but we didn't know how it's going to land. You don't know if you're going to have a good sleeper. You don't know how our breastfeeding was going to be at first. You don't know anything. So that was one thing we were like, okay, we'll be wishy-washy with this. And what did work for us was, I go to bed with my one daughter at like 7, 8 p.m. and he was waking me up at like 2, 3 in the morning. And then I was so I was still getting 6 or 7 hours of sleep. Then he was sleeping from 2, 3 in the morning till like 8 in the morning. So he was still getting 5, 6 hours of sleep. So we both had a stint of sleep, but someone was always the one that was on duty.
Yes, I love that. It's so funny you bring that up because that's pretty much exactly our plan.
Is it? Yeah?
Yeah, because I have a job right now where I have to get up at like 4 or 5 in the morning.
Okay.
So I go to bed at 7 or 8. And so I feel like that will transition so well. You know, right now it's the dog that my partner stays up with.
Right.
And then he, puts the dog in the room at 2 a.m. when he goes to bed. But I was like, let's just do this with the baby. You take a shift. That gets to be my sleep shift. And then I'm guaranteed, 6 hours. Because I can do 18. I can do 20 in a row if I got 4 in a row. Like, I just need to recharge.
A handful of hours of consistent sleep. That's the difference for me. Like, I would rather have 5 hours of, I'm knocked the fuck out, the blinds are closed, it's my time, I don't have to worry about the kids, the sound machine's on, I'm out, than 10 hours of feeding the baby every 2 hours, waking up and going back to sleep. Like, I would just take my handful of hours of good sleep, and then I can be a better mom. I can have that coffee with my kid in the morning. I'm like, yeah, I'm still tired. I'd love to go back to bed. Like, I got 5 hours, but I can be a functional human being.
Yeah.
Not a zombie.
Did you know that was kind of like a style of co-parenting before, or did you guys just kind of figure that out?
It just kind of happened naturally. Like, he's a night owl, so he's up till 11 or 12. So it's like, okay, you're up. So if she wakes up during that time, like, just stay up with her. And then it started being like, oh, well, she's waking up around 11:30, 12. I put her back to sleep. Her next wake window is until 2 or 3. At that point, I'll wake you up. So it did kind of work naturally for us that way. And I'll be honest, I'll give my husband credit. Like, I had to, like, at some point be like, I need to sleep a little bit more. Like, because now I'm running and I'm occupying work and I'm doing a 40-hour work week. So, like, doing 50% of the load at home makes sense for a lot of people. And for a mom, 50% is on the low end, I'm quite certain. But when you're doing 100% at work and 100% right now of, like, the financial income, you can't almost bear that 50% at home. There almost has to be some leeway with that. And then you just always feel guilty.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I don't know. I was talking with a mama psychologist yesterday about mom guilt. I'm like, can you guys give me like 5 minutes of free therapy? Because I need to talk about this.
Yeah.
And it's universal. No matter what the fuck you do, you feel guilty. So.
Yeah.
It's not ideal.
No. And how do you deal with that? Like, are you in therapy? Do you journal? All of the above?
I talk a lot.
Yeah. Just get it out.
And I connect a lot and I write a lot. So I have a blog, I have a podcast, and I have a really good network of friends. Not necessarily friends who are going through what I'm going through, but friends who listen, right? And sometimes you don't always need like a, yes, me too, I feel you. It's more just like, wow, I hear you. That must be really hard. And sometimes that's better.
Yes.
Right? So, and I also have people in my life that have gone through what I'm going through similarly, I guess. But yeah, I would say it's words for me.
Words.
Yeah, connecting with people, writing. I wrote a book about postpartum with my daughter because I had so much feeling. I'm like, how the fuck do I get this out? So I talk about it. I talk with people. I did do a few sessions of therapy, but it wasn't necessarily specifically geared towards motherhood. It was like medical trauma. I watched my dad die, and then my daughter had seizures, and it was very triggering. So I went initially being like, I can't be in these medical situations. What if my daughter has a seizure disorder? Like, I have to figure it the fuck out. But obviously we know you never go to therapy to deal with one issue. And then they go deep. You're like, oh, fuck, I actually have all of these issues.
Therapy decides what issues you're dealing with.
Really? That's happened when I was 10? Okay, let's talk about that. Right? So that wasn't what I expected, but yeah.
How does that carry over into thinking about, like, your children and how they'll grow up? Like, if you feel like you have trauma from when you were 10 years old, let's say, are you thinking about like
reparenting myself all the fucking time, for sure. But then you still, oh my god, I sound like my mother. Or like
is this a good thing, or
like little things that I'm like, oh my god, she would do that, and not necessarily that's always a bad thing, but I just catch it. And I'm cognizant of it. But I even said to my husband, like, when we found out we had 2 girls, like, I'm going to be the reason they go to therapy one day. Like, isn't that everybody? You know, you go to therapy and you realize, oh god, I have mommy issues. Like, and I don't have a lot of women in my life, honestly, that I communicate with that are like, me and my mom are like this.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know I'm not interviewing you, but like, are you on lockdown?
No, we're not super close. I mean, we're not estranged.
Right.
But our relationship is definitely complicated.
And I feel like that's every woman I talk to. They're never like, my mom's my best fucking friend. She's never deceived me. She's never betrayed me. I can trust her with my whole heart. It's weird. Yeah. And then, of course, I think I'm going to be that mom. Like, I'm sure I'm going to make mistakes.
Yeah. And especially when your number one goal is to protect someone. Like, if you've ever had an overprotective friend.
Right.
Like when, you know, you're out at the club and you're trying to have a good time and they're just trying to rein you in and like, let's go home. Or that's never your best friend that you take out on your adventures and gallivant.
But I've learned that that's what you have to be a good parent. You can't just be the best friend, because that's actually the parent I grew up with.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, I told everyone, my mom's my best friend. My mom's so cool. Right? And when you're young, that is cool. Yeah. Like, look, my mom will come and have drinks with me. Yeah. You know, I'm exposing this, but like, oh, like, look, me and my mom smoke weed together. Like, I don't want to be that mom. Yeah. You know, I'm not trying to be the cool mom. I'm trying to be the mom that makes sure, like, you know, you have values, you have morals, I have a tether to you. I'm keeping you reined in somewhat. And I didn't realize that I never had a tether until I was like 25 years old. I'm like, God, I did whatever the fuck I wanted, like literally since I was 10 years old. Yeah. I'd walk out of my front door and sneak out, and then I'd come home and be like, Mom, did you know I snuck out last night? She'd be like, yeah, I know, I heard you. And it's like, really? I'm waiting.
What are you learning from that?
I sat my mom down one day and I'm like, yeah, Mom. I'm really exposing myself in your podcast, but like, Mom, me and my friends are going to do ecstasy. Yeah. Oh, Ashlyn, don't do that. Like, it was never like, holy fuck, then you're not going out, stay home, I can't, like, I felt safe enough to tell her those things, which I always was like, oh, that means it's a really good relationship. Yeah. I don't know if that's what a really good parenting relationship is. I think you have friends for that.
Yeah, and I feel like setting boundaries is such an important lesson to teach, because I grew up with a pretty fun, lenient mom where I had quite a bit of freedom. And as a teenager, your job is to push those boundaries and see if they'll hold firm and see what in life is going to hold you secure and safe. And when you just kind of spill over or spill through the gates,
totally,
now all of a sudden there's no more structure for you to rely on. And so I worry a lot about being able to create structure. I have a
like being a disciplinary a little bit.
Yeah, I have a preteen stepdaughter, and man, I would just love to give her the world.
Yeah.
But does she need to have access to the whole world? Absolutely not. And
that's really good, because it's true. That is the time in your life where you're like, I don't want boundaries, but when you set them, it makes me respect you. Like, that's what's going to earn my respect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So being cognizant of that for sure.
And teaching our daughters that you're worthy of having boundaries, that you don't have to let everybody in, you don't have to say yes to every experience, because sometimes you gotta use your fucking brain. And you can't just lead with your heart 100% of the time.
And lots of times, most of the time, the easy way isn't, air quotes, the right way. No. For the majority of things. I think usually the hard way is the way you should probably be doing most things.
Are you already starting to see your daughters go through some hard things and, face some challenges that you've got to kind of decide how to guide them through?
I mean, she's only 2, and just turned 2, fresh 2.
Yeah.
But even little things medically speaking, she has seizures, so it's not up to her to work through these, but it's challenging me as a parent to be oh, okay, when this happens, how do I make sure it's not about me? Mm-hmm. And that was my very first experience with her seizure. Was I didn't mean to, but I was making it about myself. I was having a fucking panic attack. My daughter's having a seizure, and instead of being I'm here for my daughter 100%, I was blacking out. I was spiraling. I was oh my God, they had to take me and put me in a different room while my kid had to go get a CT scan. She was 1 year old, and I wasn't there for her because I was spiraling in another room because I had medical trauma. And I'm wow, if and when this happens again, I need to be there. Mm. And I can say I was very proud of myself because she has had another seizure, and I was the one that had to take her. And I was really focused on not being that person. And I was telling myself, you're going to be really proud for how you're dealing with this right now. You're going to be really proud of yourself later for how you're dealing with this right now. Don't spiral, stay content. This, You're here for her. This is about her.
That's a really valuable skill, to be able to say to yourself in a really heightened moment, you're safe.
Yeah.
Because that's what you needed to hear in other moments in your life. And that's what she needs to hear. But to be able to say it to yourself and actually, follow through with that is incredible.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
I really admire you for that, because,
Thank you.
It takes years of therapy for people to be able to
totally
stop a spiral partway through. And hopefully our daughters won't need that as much therapy.
The podcast gives me some free therapy sometimes. Now look, even you're giving it to me right now, and our podcast
right?
is awesome. And I don't have health coverage at work. Yeah. So if I'm I need to go talk to someone, I'm paying out of pocket for this, so I always have to consider it. We're not saying people who have benefits aren't thinking about it, but you're let me maximize.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go. Maybe I'm not even having a hard time, but for me it was I'm having a hard time, so I go, and I don't feel that's where you're going to get the most maximum growth either. Yeah. So I dove a lot into personal development on my own, because there is a lot of resources there if people are willing to be open to them and accept them. And obviously one-on-one therapy is probably the most personal development that you can get, but there's a lot of people out there that can offer some really good concepts, and not just on TikTok or on Instagram, but go on YouTube, look at TED Talks, I have a whole course on personal development that I've created with a million resources, because I'm I need to do this for myself. Since I was 17 years old, I found personal development are ways to do personal development without paying for it, I guess.
Yeah. What's your favorite? Books or watching videos?
Everything.
Yeah.
I love podcasts. I love personal development podcasts. I love books, specifically audiobooks now that I'm a mom.
Yeah.
Everything is time efficient.
Yeah.
I listen to audiobooks when I clean. To be honest with you, I listen to audiobook in one ear a lot of times, even when I'm around my house. So when I'm I need to blur out Cocomelon, I need to blur out, fighting over bedtime, just to have something else, or an adult voice. Mm-hmm. Feels nice. Love books, love podcasts. I also really like TED Talks.
Yeah.
I feel that's some of the best stuff, and I like YouTubes. So yeah, I'm all over the place.
I love that because, you know, you're going to be in a different mood for a different thing at different times. I really struggle with my focus and my attention. Like, I'll get like halfway through a podcast episode and then I'm like,
Next.
Next.
So if that's you right now, stick around.
Yeah. That's okay. I see you.
There's more good shit coming.
Yes. What is something that you kind of strive for in motherhood? Like, is there an area that you really like to focus your personal development, or are you just kind of like open to whatever?
I'm like in this phase right now where I don't want to say I'm a feminist by any means, but I'm just realizing how much women take on. Like, not necessarily the load of motherhood, just women in general. Like, our bodies, you just went through it, you know, like how much hormones, how many things like do we have to do? Like, there's just so much fucking pressure, and I'm such a person of like equal rights, women can do everything men can do, and sometimes better. Like, and so I'm in this phase of my life where I'm like charging forward with like women can do everything, but the internal piece of me is still nurturing. I want to be home, I want to be the cleaner, I want to be the cook, I want to be the one that's home with my baby. So I'm constantly in this struggle of, I want to be this person, but I also want to be this person. And if I try to do both every single day, I get incredibly overwhelmed, and then I'm spread too thin.
Yeah. And then guilt kicks in because you're like, I'm not a good enough feminist because I like being a wife and a mom.
It's terrible. And it's like, at what point are you winning? You know, because, and I don't know if the load of motherhood's heavier now than it used to be, but it's different now. And yeah, like, did women 50 years ago have to work 40 hours a week? And still have to plan the birthdays, and still have to get the presents, and still have to book the appointments, and still, you know, did they? Or did they have more central, like, these are my focuses? Because I feel like my focus is all the fuck over the place.
Yeah. And how many stories just kind of got lost, you know, like when your mom or your grandma tells you about what it was like for them to raise kids. Maybe they did have a Tupperware business on the side, and they just forgot to mention it because it wasn't a priority, you know, maybe they were doing more. But there's like a generational difference in what we tell our daughters about motherhood and pregnancy, and I've noticed it talking to my mom and my grandma. They just like to tell, like, my mom really likes to tell stories about labor and delivery. That was like a really special day for her. I love hearing labor stories. Whereas my grandma wants to give advice.
Right.
She's, you know, in that phase where, and I love listening to my grandma's advice, but it's just interesting, you know, my mom is very focused on her experience in pregnancy and trying to relate to me as a mother-daughter.
Yes.
Whereas my grandma doesn't feel that need, and I don't know if it's her generation or just because she's my grandma.
Right.
But it makes me wonder what I'll pass on to my kids and what I'll pass on to my grandchildren. And, you know, when my grandma asks how far along I am, her responses are different. You know, my mom will say, "Oh, that's so exciting," and my grandma will say, "Oh, you're, you know, in the safe zone," or whatever. Like, there's differences in how both
they're
of them
even
talk to me.
looking at it.
Yeah,
right. And it's like, what am I going to tell my kids when they're pregnant? You know, or when they go through this?
Yeah,
it'll be neat. I'm already excited to be a grandma. My kid's 4 months old.
I know, right? And it makes me wonder what our daughters will remember, because I remember different things about my mom now as an adult. Like, different memories are unlocked.
Totally.
And like, I almost see my mom in a different way than I did when I was growing up. Like, my mom has been through a lot of trauma, and growing up, she always shared a lot of that with me in an attempt to show me, like, the world is rough and you're going to have to be prepared for it, is basically her lesson growing up. Whereas now it's like, life is precious and we need to enjoy it. It's like such a complete
because you go through hard shit and then you realize life is fucking precious, and like those hard things were really hard in the moment, but the grand scheme of things, like, it's about love, it's about trust, it's about your people and like your circle. And yeah, I agree. I already feel like I'm aging myself. Like, as soon as I became a mom, I felt like I just got 10 years older.
Yeah. Like, I can see her perspectives changing, and it's like, oh my gosh, my perspective on things is starting to change too. Like, you start to think about, oh, well, I'm going to have this life goal with a baby. No. You know, I want to go visit this place. Oh, but with a baby.
Yeah. But know that you still have you.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. And back to my previous point about how I'm like, oh my God, I want to be this person that goes out and makes money, and I challenge the society to say women can do fucking everything men can do, but I still have this nurturing side of me. I also realize that that's a privilege. Like, I realize that if I only had the section of, I don't have my book, I don't have my podcast, I don't have my business, I don't have my clients and my challenges and the things that like I get invested in to grow that piece of me, I wouldn't be as happy. Yeah. So like, although it's a challenge, it's something that also takes me outside of motherhood, which I do think people need. And if you don't have a thing, I don't care what the fuck it is. You like to bake? Awesome. Bake. Yeah. You want to, like, whatever it is, play music, learn a new language, but just have something that pulls you forward. For me, yeah, it's a business. Yeah. And so working mom, wah, in the same breath, it's a privilege.
How do you balance having that for you?
Yeah.
While also wanting to share that part of you with your daughters?
I don't think I'm at the point where I'm trying to really share that I work.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, but she's picking up because she'll be like, Blakely goes to daycare, Mommy goes to work. And then when I pick her up, she'll say, go to the gym. And she knows that the gym is where I work. And after daycare, there's days where I will work and I still haven't worked out, and I will pick her up from daycare and I'll bring her to my work and then I'll work out. And those are the days where I feel guilty. Because I'm like, I've been away from her all day, but I still haven't got that moment for myself. Because yes, I've been away from her, but I've been working. It's not like I was away from her and went for coffee, got a pedicure, got a massage, came back, picked her up, and then I was like, and now we're gonna do more things for Mommy. You know, like work is for me, but it's not for me. Yeah. So there are days where I'm like, oh my God, now I feel terrible because I'm letting you watch a tablet after I just put you at daycare for fucking 6 hours, and now I'm gonna work out. But sometimes I have to, because then after that workout's done, guess what? The tablet goes away, the phone goes away, and it's like just me and her, and I feel good and she feels good, and then I'm like, it's worth it.
Exactly.
Like quality over quantity time.
And she gets to see you caring for yourself.
Yes.
Which is so valuable.
I try to remind myself that.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's why I love when you share things like that, you know, having your baby with you while you do a workout.
All the time.
Because it almost gives permission to other moms that feel like they have to separate work and family.
Right.
And, like, for example, I work at a dental office, and so we deal a lot with insurance companies.
Okay.
And most of them are working from home. So when I'm on the phone with these insurance agents, I can hear their babies crying. I can hear Coco Melon in the background. Right. I know they're, you know, multitasking. Probably not because they always want to, probably because they have to.
Yeah, 100%.
But it's okay to want to. It's okay to want to have your baby on your lap while you're working.
Right.
And I feel like when you share those, even if it's a small moment of joy for you, even if it's just a second where you're like, you know what, yes, I'm working and my daughter's here with me while I'm working, but she's also getting to see me leading and developing and doing all these things. When you share that just for a second, it gives people permission to say, okay, I can let go of this guilt. Right. Because there is value in it.
And it's also okay if you want to just ditch your kids at your in-laws and you want to just go get a massage and you want to, like, do whatever the fuck makes you feel good. Like, that's just always what I come down to. It's no black or white. Like, and I just did a podcast about that yesterday. Like, it's literally just whatever makes you feel good and is good for your family, like, show up and do that. Yeah. And there's no right or wrong.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That kind of made me think about, you know, setting an example for your kids in your relationship too. Like, showing our kids that, you know, you can have an argument and still love each other. Right. And you can, you know, sleep separately and still be very much in love with each other. And you can work together and be a team, and it just is such a beautiful thing to feel like you're working on yourself and your relationship, and it's benefiting your family. Like, those can be two separate things. Like, I'm sure you have moments where it's just you focused on your relationship. Right. Separate from moments where you're focused on your family, but it all blends together in such a beautiful circular way.
Here's me interviewing again. Did you have that growing up? Because I didn't.
Yeah. No, interesting.
Like, my parents were divorced when I was 4. Oh, yeah. They both got remarried. And then by the time I was 10, I had 4 babies. My family had 4 babies younger than me. So I was like, I was an adult. By the time I was 10, 11, I was the babysitter. No one was worried with what I was doing, right? And my parents weren't together. Yeah. And so I didn't have a lot of that. Like, how do you work through young kids as a team? What does that look like? And so my husband did. His parents are still in love, still together, have 3 kids. Like, literally when I met him, I was like, oh my gosh, you honestly are from the Brady Bunch. Like, we went camping, I remember, and they had like sing songs and they had guitars out and they were all working together and doing harmonies, and I was like, is this real life? Like, oh my god, this is not my family. No. You know? And I have to like create that, because there hasn't been an example for me. So I think that's very hard, but it's important to me that my kids see that.
My mom did not meet her life partner until I was about 11 or 12.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So when I was growing up as a young kid, I desperately wanted that like picture perfect happy mom and dad dynamic. My mom always had love in her life. She had long-term relationships with people that treated her well in front of me, and that's the key there. I learned a lot about those relationships later on in life, but I didn't really have affection modeled on a daily basis.
Right.
And so sometimes now in my relationship and my family, I almost catch myself wondering, like, am I being affectionate enough in front of my stepdaughter? Because I want her to see what love looks like.
Right.
I want her to see what a healthy relationship looks like. And
like, what does it look like?
It's, yeah. Right?
Like, you know, is holding hands in public love? Or, like, because there's a lot of people that fucking hold hands and kiss in public, and then they go home and they have a toxic relationship. Right? So I don't even know, like, unless it's just truly genuine. Like, just make sure that the partner you're with is the person you genuinely would go to bat for. I'd fucking put my life on the line for you. That's who I want to be the father of my kids.
Yes. And I think it comes down to just, like, being honest in those moments. Like, sometimes, you know, we'll have a little argument or a spat or whatever, and I'll be crying, and she'll see me crying, and I always make sure she sees me make up.
Oh, good.
I always make sure she sees us, you know, come together and hug or something afterwards.
Right.
Or have a moment where we say something kind to each other, like, you know, that was tough, but we're going to be okay, or whatever.
Right.
Because I didn't know how to do that when I became an adult. Because I didn't really start dating. I had a high school boyfriend, but I didn't really start dating till I was an adult. And my mom was almost too private, I'd say, in her relationships, where, like, I didn't know red flags when they were there.
For sure.
And I didn't know even how to ask about that. And I hope that my daughters can come to me and at least say, like, you know, this guy and I were talking about this, and, like, what do you think of this? Like, was that weird? It made me feel weird. Like, I just really hope there's honesty and authenticity in our household, because I feel like I grew up in a household where we kind of kept things in until it burst.
Right.
And everything was very explosive when it came to emotions, and I prefer just kind of a little bit of a smooth
What's
sail.
their trauma response? Like, is it fight, flight, freeze, fawn? I'm learning all of these things. Yeah, what's yours?
Question.
Mine's definitely fight, unfortunately.
Mine's more like a freeze.
Okay.
Yeah, mine's definitely more like a freeze. I always will think of whatever I should have said or done 2 hours later. Maybe that's fun.
See, I just completely black out, and I'm like, I'm so fucking mad! Like, and so that's something I definitely don't want my daughters to pick up on, right? So, like, I was talking to the psychologist yesterday on my own podcast, and they talked about just, like, breathing regulations, taking a breath, putting in an AirPod, or, like, getting sensory deprivation when you're in those heated moments so that you don't spill over. And I honestly, because I don't like to say I'm an angry person, I maybe popped off a couple times in my life, but I'm like, I didn't know how patient I would be as a mom, and I'm really proud of myself because I'm patient as fuck. Like, I can take a lot of, like, mom, cry, fuss, but, like, I don't snap, which I'm really proud of myself for, because I implement those things, I think.
How does that show itself with, like, your 2-year-old, who I'm sure is showing some big feelings?
Oh, yeah.
How do you help her figure out her tools?
Well, we do a lot of breathing together. I let her blow out candles a lot. Oh, yeah. We talk about, like, smelling the flowers, blowing out the candles. And we'll do that together, like, when she gets worked up. And I always make sure I come down to her level. And sometimes I put everything in a song format because I feel like she responds well to it. I don't know if this is an actual tactic, but anything that she's freaking out about, if it's like, I don't want to brush my teeth, no, mommy, no, I'll never be like, yes, you need to brush your teeth. I'll come to her level and be like, brush your teeth. Blakely needs to brush her teeth because they're so dirty. There's sugar bags. You know, like, I'll make it a thing. And then she kind of like, oh. And if she get really worked up, it's smell the flowers, blow out the candles. And she will do it with me. And yeah, she's 2.
That's
so
incredible.
If we can teach some regulating and, like, a little bit of, oh, she likes music, she likes moving her body. I do know that when kids have big emotions, they usually explode it on the person who can handle them. And I feel like I am a lot of times that person. I'm her mom. That makes sense. Yeah, I'm a safe space. So I try to remind myself that as well. she's having a hard time. She's not trying to give me a hard time.
It's almost a compliment.
It is, but I'm like, I don't want to deal with it, but I will deal with it. And it teaches you about yourself too, because you're getting worked up and you're like, wow, what I'm telling her to do is actually working for me to come down off this as well.
How's your husband with those same tactics?
Oh, fuck, he's so chill. He doesn't have, he doesn't have an aggressive bone in his body. Yeah.
And I'm sure your girls pick up on that energy.
He's a playful person. Oh. And so, yeah, he's a really good dad. And I'm not super playful. I'm not really I want to play hide and seek. It's not, she wants to play hide and seek all the time. I want to read a book. Yeah. I'm very, not introverted by any means, but those are the kind of things I like to do. Let's color. Let's very, I guess, quieter things. I'm not
the same way.
Let's build a fucking fort and roll down the stairs and pull all the blankets out. I'm like, oh my god, I don't want the house to be a mess. Oh my god, this sucks. Let's open the toy that has 500,000 pieces and spill it all over the floor. That's him. Yeah. I'm more can we do something together, quiet? Do you want to go to the park? Yeah, let's watch a movie. Let mommy tickle your back. Do you want to go outside in the stroller? I don't know. I have a hard time with that, even though I was such an imaginary play person as a kid.
My partner is very playful, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to have kids with him. Because I know that he can kind of meet me where I'm a little bit more low energy, and I've always been that way with my younger siblings. Yeah. I was never great at just sitting and playing with toys or whatever with them. That was never fun.
And then you feel guilty about it.
Exactly.
I should be playing.
Yeah, I felt guilty about it my whole freaking life because I never wanted to take my sister to the park. But it's just because I didn't want to go to the park. It had nothing to do with my sister.
Right. Yes.
But it's important to find your match. And
for sure.
Someone that's gonna balance you out, because could you imagine having two super playful parents with two high energy kids?
Parents that didn't want to play at all ever.
Exactly.
Yeah, that'd be hard.
Yeah. And I love that you guys have different strengths, because
100% we do. Yeah.
There's gonna be some moments where you can say, I need to tap out, I'm overstimulated, I'm touched out, I'm whatever, and that he's going to be there for you, and he's going to be able to step up to the plate and bring something different, because maybe, the breathing regulation's not working in that moment. Maybe she needs to run around and play. Yeah.
He will make my kids athletes and, whatever they want to do, but sports, hand-eye coordination, throw, kick, all those things, that's his territory. Yeah. My territory is, I will help you become an academic. I'm going to teach you to read. I'm going to teach you to write. I'm going to encourage you to go to school. Even when I got pregnant with my first daughter, I was like, oh, I hope she's a nerd. And he's like, I don't. I hope she's wants to be an NCAA athlete. Look, we have this long ass baby. She's so tall. And I'm like, yeah, I don't even think about those things. I'm more oh, I hope she's smart. I hope she reads, she writes. I'm going to teach her all these things. I'm going to get the Montessori fucking play boxes. I'm about that. But it's good, because that's how you have a well-rounded parenting strategy, right? You want your kid to be able to run and kick and do all those things and go in swimming lessons and skate, and that's all his territory. And I'm I want to be the mom that goes to the kindergarten and is the snack mom and is right engaged with her education and those types of things.
Is that exciting for you now that she's getting older?
Yes.
Yeah. You're getting closer to that vision.
And I still do a lot for her, but there is a point in parenting where you got to do things with them and not just for them. And I'm almost there where it's I want to go swimming today. Do you want to go swimming? Oh my God, this is going to light you up. And then watching how much it lights her up is what lights me up. Yeah. When she walks in the pool and she goes, oh, wow, mommy, Blakely's so happy. Love you, mommy. You're fuck, you can go swimming every day. This is amazing. And then it's oh, after, do you want to go for ice cream? She was so excited. I took her for ice cream the other day. The people were laughing. We were at Marble Slop and she was shaking, waiting for ice cream. She's just vibrating. And I'm you are the cutest fucking thing ever. Oh it makes me happy to see how happy you are.
Yeah. Do you have hopes for yourself as an individual, now that your kids are here?
Yep.
How has that changed from what your hopes were before you had kids? Where you see yourself in the future?
Because everything's about them now.
Yeah.
And I knew it, but you don't know it. Oh, I'll be a mom and life will be about your kids, but every fucking thing. Yeah. Sometimes I look around my house and I'm what would I have done today if I didn't have kids?
Yeah.
Because every single thought, every mess, everything, if I didn't have kids, what really was I doing?
Yeah.
I don't even know. How I thought I had no time then. Mm-hmm. Every single thing I do is about them.
What's one thing that you want to do, completely on your own? I know you went on a trip.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that was amazing.
27 weeks pregnant.
Yes, I love that.
I was I actually booked the trip though, so it looked like I was super pregnant and I decided to go. Yeah. I had booked the trip still pregnant, But I had a really hard time rationalizing my second pregnancy. And of course, it's hard when there's an infertility community and someone like yourself to be like, I got pregnant like that. Yeah. My first baby wasn't like that, okay? Yeah. Like, I had 2 miscarriages. I had a lot of fertility issues. I didn't have a period for 10 years. It wasn't easy by any means. So I've seen the struggle. I've had the hurt. But that second baby, I'm like, I got to make sure what I say here. My husband and I had been... how do I say this without getting in trouble? Had been casted to be on a reality TV show.
Oh.
So, and a good one.
Yeah.
It wasn't like HGTV for a day. Yeah. It was a big deal.
That's exciting.
And I was working hard. I was learning new skills. I was really invested in this. And I did a medical test to go on the show.
Right.
And it came back that I was pregnant. And I
Bombshell.
failed the medical. So not only was I like, my daughter's only 11 months old,
yeah.
I also lost this incredible thing that I was looking forward to, which was actually before COVID. So I had found out that I was casted for this show at the end of 2019.
Oh
so at the beginning of 2021, this has been on my mind. This was a goal. This was a big fucking deal. Coming. And then to find out I was pregnant 2 weeks before this was supposed to happen, and like all of that got shut down. I wanted to be excited about having a baby, but I still had a baby. I had an 11-month-old that I was already trying to figure out what the fuck is she going to do when I go on this show.
Yeah.
Like, and then to have, my baby was still a baby. And by the time Tanner was born, my 4-month-old was born, my daughter was almost 2. So she seems more like a toddler. Yeah. And that made sense. Okay, she can be a big sister. But at the time, I was not ready. No. And I spiraled for a long time. And that was when I was like, okay, I'm booking a trip. I'm doing something for myself. So that's where it came from. I was like, I need something to look forward to. I need something for myself. I need to know. And like, I spent a whole week in Mexico flying, going through customs, like with a big belly, crop top on. I didn't give a fuck. I walked around that resort. I ate and worked out, and it was exactly what I needed. And it actually allowed me to connect with my baby. And when you're like 26 to 28 weeks pregnant in that phase, like you're getting lots of kicks. And so that was so important for me. And I'm so happy I did it.
That sounds really incredible. Is traveling alone something that you would do again in the future?
Oh, yes, I would do it all the time.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm a huge travel bug. I did a 6-week backpacking trip through Thailand. My husband and I did a month in like Italy and Greece. And gosh, that's my favorite thing to do.
Yeah.
And we did a month in Peru, hiked Machu Picchu, lived in the Amazon rainforest, like had some really cool experiences, which I also felt prepared me really well for motherhood because I was ready. And that's why when it didn't happen right away, I was like, what do you mean? I like checked off on my bucket list. I like saved some money. I'm ready to get pregnant now. Hello. Hi. I competed in bodybuilding competitions. So I'm like, okay, I'm ready to sacrifice my body. I gained the weight. And then when it didn't happen, where I'm like, I did everything right. What do you mean? Yeah, I'm ready. And then it didn't happen. And then it didn't happen. And then it happened. And then I lost a baby. And then it happened. And then I lost a baby. And I'm like, this is not my plan.
Yeah.
And I know obviously you can rationalize with that. And the world has a different plan.
Yeah.
So to have that happen the second time was so, what?
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, there's a piece of me that was like, what if I lose this baby again? Even after I had a successful pregnancy. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't change. Like that fear doesn't completely go away because you've had a successful pregnancy. Mm-hmm. It still haunts you. And I'm sure, I don't hope for you that you're going through this, but I looked up every week, like, viability of my baby. What's the chances my baby's going to be okay if they're born? Was like, I did that every fucking week.
Yeah. I booked pregnancy photos for about 20 weeks. I did them just the other day actually. And it was hard because part of me worried I wouldn't make it any farther. And we had to reschedule a couple times because of the weather. And every time we had to reschedule, I would wonder, am I even going to get to do these? Because, it doesn't matter how healthy the doctors tell you your baby is. You know that anything can happen at any time.
Yeah.
And social media is good and bad for that. It's good to connect with people. But I'm also somehow on this side of TikTok right now where all I'm getting is pregnancy loss.
Oh,
and baby
girl,
loss.
you need to get off of there.
I really appreciate people sharing their stories.
Oh, yes.
And, that's why the algorithm sends it to me because I'm a caring person and I do care about these people's stories. But at the same time, it fills your head with everything that could go wrong. Of course it does. At any time.
Yeah.
I'll be looking up 21-week bump date videos and then all of a sudden I'll start getting 21-week loss videos. And...
Oh, girl, you're living my story. Totally. It hurts.
Yeah,
and just
hard.
so you know, you'll be 40 weeks and the baby will be in your arms, and then you'll be like, what's the chances of SIDS?
Yes.
And it will just keep going, and I don't wish that for you at all. And now my kid's 2, and I'm like, oh, does she have epilepsy? Is something wrong with her? I think about her all day. I just dropped her at daycare. She can be okay today. It doesn't fucking
What if
stop.
she's an allergy I don't know about?
Yeah, why does she have eczema? And like, oh my god, my kid's double jointed. What if she has a connective tissue disorder? What if she has a genetic problem? And it doesn't stop.
No. How do you keep yourself grounded in those moments where you start to spiral a little bit?
I reminded myself that every single person I see on a daily basis was once in the womb and made it to 40 weeks and was birthed and is here now. Yeah. And I'm like, so obviously there's a lot more successes, or else this world wouldn't be what it is, unless people like me kept trying and had these babies. So it does work. Like, there's proof in myself, in my husband, in every person that I see. I was like, that's a success story, that's a success story, that's a success story. And I would just remind myself of that, because if people are out here walking, doing, talking, then they went through this and they made it.
What's some advice you would give to an anxious mom? If someone came to you and was like, I have these thoughts all the time, the guilt, the worry, what the hell do I do? What would you tell a friend?
Dude, remind yourself that a positive outcome is more likely than the negative outcome. Yeah. Right? And what you focus on grows. What you focus on grows. So let's focus on, I'm healthy. I'm carrying a baby. Mm-hmm. I have a baby girl. This is going to be her name. And no matter what, if the worst case scenario happens, it's going to fucking hurt so bad whether or not you invested in that. Like, giving yourself permission to buy the clothes, to do the nursery, to move forward like that. If you're going to wait till you're 40 weeks pregnant, till your baby's in your arms to do that, like, it's going to hurt just as bad. Like, it's not going to hurt any less because you didn't lean into the process.
Yes. That's exactly what got me through trying to conceive for over 2 years was, you know, if it works out, when it works out, I want to look back and have celebrated some of these milestones.
Yes.
Because if it doesn't work out, I'm going to be crushed either way.
Exactly.
But if it does.
But not celebrating doesn't blunt the agony that you're going to feel if something goes wrong. So celebrate.
Yeah.
And, like, I know for myself, I always waited. I'm 12 weeks pregnant. Now I'm going to tell people. But I don't even know if that's necessary. Like, it's like people put it on this limit where it's like, oh, after 12 weeks. Like, after 12 weeks, shit still happens. Exactly. You know, like, own it. Like, when your baby is fucking 4 weeks, you find out you're pregnant, you want to tell the world, like, that baby deserves that. Yeah. You deserve that. Excitement. Yeah. Get it. Do whatever. You know?
I remember getting to 12 weeks and thinking, oh, my goodness, I would have had to keep this secret for 3 months. How?
Especially someone who likes to share.
Yes.
Right? I did keep it a secret from social media, but I did tell, like, my friends and my family, and yeah.
What's something that you would tell a working mom?
You fucking got this.
Yeah.
I just more would want to be on their side.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you're doing amazing. You're doing things, you're paving a path. You're showing your kids, like, I got this. I can manage this. And yeah, throw it on my shoulders, unfortunately. You know, but like, women are incredible. Mm-hmm. And I'm not discounting men, but I kind of am. They are definitely, in my mind, like it or not, the inferior. Like, especially now when I'm like, really? Like, you can manage that? Look what I can manage. I'm not trying to keep score, but I'm just realizing that, like, all these women in my life, they take on a lot more shit than most people. Yeah. And we're incredible. We're incredible species. Kids are not. You know, like, you don't have to have kids and be a mom to be like, no, I'm a strong fucking woman, mom, look at me, I can do all these things. Like, you can be a mom in so many different ways.
Mm-hmm. And people mother in many different ways. Mm-hmm. Like I said, for years, I thought I couldn't have children. So I convinced myself I didn't want children. So I mothered my sorority sisters. I mothered my friends. I mothered my siblings. And, you know, if you're gonna nurture, you're gonna find a way to nurture.
Yeah.
Some people are just born to...
And then you gotta put it in practice with your own little baby.
Yes,
That's so awesome.
I can't wait, because I didn't meet my stepdaughter till she was 7.
Okay.
So I've done the middle phase now. Now I'm ready to do the first phase.
And I haven't done the middle phase. So I'm like, I keep telling myself it's gonna get easier, and people are like, yeah, no, it doesn't. It just gets different.
It's cool to watch her become a person with her own opinions and, you know, making her own types of jokes and
Right.
things like that. It's really cool to continue to wonder who she'll be. Because when I met her and she was very little, I always had these moments where I could see what she was going to look like when she was older. And I think that was, you know, part of me becoming ready to become a mother is, you know, I would literally look at her and I could just envision what she'll look like when she's 20. And now that she's actually becoming that person that I always kind of thought she might become, it's just a really, really interesting and unique experience that I'm glad I get to have.
For sure.
Because I get to know her I'm not her mother. I get to know her from a different perspective. You know, I'm involved in, you know, discipline and structure and things like that, but not in the same way as her mom and dad. She's 12.
Okay.
She'll be 13 soon.
So the pushback's coming.
Yes.
I grew up with a stepmom, still close with her. She's amazing. I can't believe the shit she had to deal with when I was like 17 years old.
Yeah.
The whole, you're not my mom, don't tell me what to do. I remember her crying because I'd say that to her. And like, it would sting. Yeah. And I actually wrote, there's a poem in my postpartum book about being a stepmom. And basically I'm saying like, I didn't imagine how hard being a stepmom would be until I was a mom. Like, could you imagine being a mom with no pregnancy, no 9 months of this, no time to prepare? You're not only taking on the load of being a mom, but you're also taking the load of them having another mom, of your husband still having a connection to another woman who he was once obviously intimate with, which is triggering in itself for a lot of people, right? And it's like all those dynamics, I didn't realize how complicated and hard that would be. And to give me the same amount of love that she gave her own kids, incredible.
Yeah. I was very lucky. I grew up with a really great stepmom who, you know, cared for me as a stepmom. You know, she never ever tried to replace my mom. And I got to see two very different mother figures doing life with their own partners and their own children in their own ways. I have half siblings on both sides. And I do feel very lucky to have been given multiple different examples of what being a mom can be like.
Right.
Because now, as I'm trying to figure out what kind of mom I want to be, I know that it's all okay. You know, my stepmom, her kids turned out great. My mom, her kids turned out great. And they have very different personalities, different parenting styles. And just like you said, everyone walking around on this earth is fine.
Yeah. Like
because someone mothered them.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
And do you know, like, I mean, are you already thinking about those things? Like, how am I going to approach this? How am I going to approach this? Because it might just change again. Like, how am I going to do sleep training? Am I going to do sleep training? Am I going to do baby-led weaning? Am I going to do purees? Am I, like, there's so many things. And I thought I knew, and then I don't.
No.
And then you get there, and then you change it, and then you pivot. And it's like, that is life. If you're not willing to pivot, fuck, you're gonna have a really hard time.
Yeah. And then you try one thing, and it doesn't work.
And then you have another kid, and they're completely different.
Yeah. I do think a lot about how is my stepdaughter going to feel seeing me connect with a different child in a different way.
She's 12.
Yeah.
I think she's gonna love it.
Yeah.
I think she's going to be like, this is, I mean, I can say I was 12 with step parents, and I had baby brothers and sisters. Yeah. When I was, how about this, 11 years old, my baby brother was born, I watched.
Oh,
I was there.
That's so
my
cool.
stepmom asked if me and my sister wanted to be in the room.
Yeah.
Whew. No epidural, no drugs, full vaginal birth. I was at the edge of the bed with the doctor.
Incredible.
I watched that at 11.
That's incredible. I love birth. Like,
oh, can we do a whole other podcast on birth? Because I am obsessed.
After I give birth, we absolutely can.
Okay.
Yes, I'll invite you back for my birth story.
Do you have a birth story I plan? Even though I know it, and y'all know I can go straight. But if I didn't have a plan, I wouldn't have ended up in the position I was in. So I do believe that having a plan that's malleable.
Yes. I will be creating a birth plan with my doula.
Nice, okay.
Because I did decide to hire a doula. That was something that was really important to me.
Awesome.
So I originally wanted an unmedicated home water birth.
Ah!
That was my vision. I knew in my heart I could do it, and I had no fear. And then I was put on insulin.
Okay.
I technically don't have a gestational diabetes diagnosis, but I've been followed by an endocrinologist, and she watches my levels pretty closely. And she put me on bedtime insulin to help my morning fasting levels.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, sounds simple, not a problem, just another medication added to the list. Well, it risked me out of a midwife.
What?
Yeah, I'm too high risk for a midwife just because I'm on insulin. So there goes my home birth.
Really?
Yeah, I have to have a medical doctor deliver my baby. Well, have to. I hate that term when it comes to birth. Like, people give birth wherever they freaking want.
I'm like, dude, pop a squat right here. I'll help you.
I know, right? I can refuse to go. But my doctor said that he would be more comfortable with an MD delivering my baby.
Okay.
But my doctor doesn't deliver babies.
Right.
So I'm kind of, I hate to say this, I'm stuck with a hospital birth. That's how I feel. That's my authentic feeling.
That's fair.
And I know lots of people are very comfortable and very happy in a hospital. I have tons of medical trauma. I don't want to give birth in the same hospital I lost my babies in. Like, that was a huge wall for me that I had to knock down.
Feel you.
So I am open to medication, epidural, nitrous, whatever. I am going to kind of let my doula help me decide what I feel like I need, because she's very experienced. She has seen women birth so many times that I know that she'll be able to say, like, you can do this.
For sure.
Or, you know what, Kelsie, I can see you're freaking tired. What, like, are you thinking it's time for an epidural? I'm going to really have her help me through those moments.
Yeah.
So my plan is to go with the flow, I guess, at this point in the hospital.
Fair. My first birth was in a hospital.
Yeah.
And it was still very beautiful.
Yeah.
And my home birth was also beautiful. It's beautiful in its own way. You're going to meet your baby. You won't really even think you're in a hospital. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to be so focused on that moment of connection. Like, that's my biggest ever video that I've ever posted on social media, was the moment that I met Blakely, because it was after miscarriages, after I had a subchorionic hematoma. I was on bed rest for my first trimester with her. Like, I thought I was going to lose my baby. I went through labor. I went into the hospital, even though that, like, heart really didn't want to do that, but I did need to do that. I had a high risk pregnancy, and it was fucking beautiful. And there's nothing I would change about it. And then going into Tanner's birth, I said to Robbie, if everything went the exact same as it did with Blakely, I would be happy. Although that's not how it happened. I ended up having my home birth. I mean, if I had to compare apples to apples, like, of course it was a different experience and it was beautiful in its own way. Yeah. But both very empowering.
Yes.
And beautiful.
I am so excited to have that moment, because for years I thought I couldn't.
Yeah.
I had complications with an IUD when I was 18. My very first pregnancy and my very first pregnancy loss was when I had an IUD.
Wow, I have one right now. Oh.
I went through 3 IUDs.
Shit.
It was not the right... It turns out I had a septum in my uterus that was really tough to see on ultrasound.
Okay.
So my situation was a little bit unique. But the very first time I was pregnant was an accident. And then I found out in the same breath that I had lost that pregnancy. And so I kind of told myself that I wasn't meant to do it. That there was a reason why, and I'm not sure I believe that anymore. I believe that every experience leads us to where we're supposed to be, but I don't think that was meant to happen to me. I don't think the universe was trying to tell me anything, but that's what I held on to for so long.
You have to hold on to something.
Exactly. Right? So I convinced myself I was terrified of childbirth. I remember there was this one time I was in the car with my mom. I was a teenager, and I asked her, I was like, Mom, just out of the blue, is childbirth really as bad as people say it is?
No.
And she thought for a minute, and she goes, everyone gets through it. And in my mind, I was like, not everybody does.
Honestly, I said after I had, even Blakely, I said, if I had known what birth was, I never would have been scared. And
I love that.
I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
And my sister-in-law had a baby yesterday, and, like, I honestly said to my husband, I'm so jealous that she got to do that. Oh. He's like, you're jealous? I'm like, I'm jealous that she got to push that baby out. Like, that, birth for me was, like, the biggest, I say this whenever I talk about my home birth, I literally felt like I was on LSD or, like, some sort of crazy drug. Like, the amount that I had to tap into my brain, and the fact that I was completely sober for this, when I look back at it, I was like, I feel like I was on the highest I've ever been in my whole life. Like, I was on some crazy drug because I did the hypnobirthing. And it's like, what breath and imagination and visualization can do for a person. When I think of my home birth, honest to God, man, I don't remember it hurting.
Wow. And see,
I don't.
Women do this 5, 10, 15 times over.
Yes.
So I feel like I can do it once.
I had a bad, I was still in labor for 8 hours. Like, it wasn't like she just slipped right out of me. Walked into my bedroom, squatted on the floor, and birthed my baby on my bedroom floor.
Oh, How incredible.
It feels empowering as fuck.
Yeah.
Right? So
you did that.
Yeah, I did that. And like now I use it as leverage to remind myself of my greatness.
Yes.
Right? Like my husband will literally be shitting downstairs and I text him like, I pushed a baby out faster than you can take a shit. You know, like I'm going to leverage that forever because he got to watch me do it. He was supposed to be catching the baby, but I was like, actually I need you right here. Like I need to like put my head into your chest or something. So we had mirrors behind me so he could see like everything. Yeah. And my midwives are amazing. Yeah. Yeah, it was really cool.
That's beautiful.
It's a beautiful experience.
I can't wait to tell you about my birth experience.
Oh, me too.
Yes, we'll see. I definitely plan on sharing because I love hearing birth stories.
And honestly, no matter what, it's going to be beautiful.
Exactly.
And if you frame it that way.
Yeah.
Right? Like I know, like obviously birth trauma is a huge, it's huge and it's totally warranted. And I can absolutely imagine how traumatizing that could be. But I hope over the years, no matter what, it's like I got my baby out of this and you've been through enough trauma, you deserve the fucking most peaceful, amazing birth ever. And I hope for you that that's the case. And if it's not, though, you're going to have a healthy baby and you're going to be a healthy mommy and it's all going to be great.
Yes. And it's just one day.
It is.
I've told myself
maybe
that.
Two.
Yeah, maybe two. I've told myself that a few times. I'm like, I've made it through 20 weeks of a pretty miserable pregnancy. I'm pretty sick.
Hurt in a different way. That feeling in your heart of going through those losses, I promise you, is so much more painful than any contraction, pushing pain, anything. And because you're going to have that leverage because you've been raw and cut open and just totally down to your deepest core, you're going to have that gritty piece of yourself that can get through anything physically. Mm-hmm. Physically, it's nothing. Yeah. You have it up here now. Yeah. And like the fact it wasn't easy for you to get to that place, I think is why you're going to have such an amazing birth.
Yes. I can't wait. Even, if it's not the birth that I dreamed of, I've just had to reframe my dream. And now I get to welcome my baby in a full circle moment.
Absolutely.
In a place where my journey started. Right?
Please say someone has a camera on you.
Yes, my doula. My doula takes pictures.
Okay.
That's part of our contract.
Oh, good.
I definitely want everything captured.
Yeah.
I can't wait now, actually. It's been really easy to kind of savor the moment in this pregnancy so far and just kind of appreciate where I'm at every stage. The closer I get to viability, the less anxiety and worry I have, and now I'm actually starting to get really excited.
Yay. Yeah. Oh, you deserve to be excited. It's going to be beautiful. And then all of a sudden she'll be here and she'll be on the outside and you'll be like, oh my God, go back in.
And I really appreciate you sharing your birth experience on Instagram because, it helps. It helps to see women do that because then you're like, well, if she can do it, I can do it.
You can.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You can. Yeah. And you will. Like, there's no easy way out. It's coming out, but it's in no ways easy.
Yes.
But it's all worth it.
Yes.
Yeah, and you'll do great.
I just have one last question for you. Where do you see yourself in like 10, 15 years for you? Like, not necessarily as a mother or as a wife, but where do you see yourself?
In 10 years, I see myself hopefully still blogging, hopefully still podcasting, still getting my, maybe my brand will mold over time. I'm always feel like I'm going to be into fitness. That's who I am at my core. I really value not just the way I look, but also just like those habits. Those are the types of things that make me and shape me. And my mom's been a bodybuilder since I was a tiny little kid. So it's just been part of me. I plan on being the snack mom, the one who drives the kids around, the one who's at every fucking volleyball tournament, the one who's rooting in the stands, the one who shows up. Whatever my kids want to do. You want to do musical theater? I'm fucking there. You want to do modeling? I'm fucking there. You want to do fitness? I'm there. You want to do spelling bee? Fuck yeah. Like, no matter what, I just want to be that supportive person. But I still have, I want to be still making money. I want to be able to be like, you know what? Mommy's going to take the family on a trip. Mom's going to take us all to Disneyland. And I want to be able to have the financial backing to be able to do those things for my kids. Don't worry, when you're 18, 19 years old, I'm going to help you get registered in university. I have money to help you do that. So yes, I keep referring to finances, but finances are a thing that's going to allow me to do a lot of those things. And planning ahead, I think, helps for that. Yeah. 'Cause it's not about money, but it's about experiences. And let's be real, a lot of times when you financially prepare, you can have those types of experiences. Mm-hmm. I want my kids to see the world. I've said to my husband, I'm like, I want to go, build a school in Africa, and I want to do these things, and I want to take the girls. And he's like, holy shit, pump your brakes, maybe when they're 18. And I'm like, well, we could do like a Europe trip with them when they're like 6, you know, or he's like, yeah, no, not worth our time. No, he's not really into like the massive travel with the girls until they're a little bit older. But I really want them to experience culture and see different things and realize how actually blessed and lucky we are to be Canadian. Because I did get to see that, not as a kid. My parents never fucking took me anywhere because they had a bunch of other little kids and we didn't have money. But, you know, like once I turned 18, I started doing those things and I just want them to be able to see that so bad. So that's important. And they'll be 10 at that time. 10 and 11. They're only a year apart, so.
I can't wait to see you take them on all kinds of adventures.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, just give them the best life possible and be there.
Yeah.
And
that's really all we can ask.
And you're like, not in terms of being a mom, but like in terms of your own stuff. And I'm like, but it always just comes back to that.
Exactly.
Right? Like I still want those experiences, but the experiences will not be the same unless they're with me and they're doing it and I feel like I'm showing up for them. And as a wife too, like that's important. And I feel like sometimes when people get in with their kids, the marriage piece becomes secondary, but I actually think it should be primary.
Yeah.
And I remember my father-in-law saying to my husband when we were having infertility and we were having a hard time having a baby and we had lost our second baby. And he said to him, she is your family. Before kids, during kids, after kids. She's the one who's always going to be there. So with or without kids, you have a family and that's her. So you fucking show up for her. And I'm excited for us to still have that piece together, not after kids, but at some point the kids aren't under your wing, they're not at your house, not everything revolves around them all the time. And I also look forward to that in my future, like having the times where we can go sit on a beach together, like just meet each other as adults, you know, like we had all this time together before kids, thank goodness. Like we were together 8 years before we had kids, had a lot of experiences, and right now it feels like we're in a fog, not because we're not connected, but we have to be like, you do this role, I do this role. It's very segregated, and like, yes, we're a family unit, but it's not the closeness that we used to have. We just don't have that independence, that intimacy like we could, right? Sex now is like, oh my God, we have 10 minutes, or I'm absolutely exhausted, but I haven't put out in a week, so I should probably do it. It's different than like, let's have a night together and like light candles, let's have a bath, let's do these sexy things. Like you don't get that when you have kids, at least not little kids like this. So I'm excited for that again. Yeah, like fall in love all over, even though we're still in love. It's like a different kind of love and it's evolving. Yes. So yeah.
I love that. Okay. Can you tell everyone where they can find you online?
Oh yeah, please come find me. Instagram would be a good place to start because the link in my bio kind of links you to everything. So Instagram, I have a link in my bio that basically talks about my health coaching, perfect fit for you. I work with women in terms of fitness. I have a health coaching company with other coaches that do amazing things. And then I also have a blog, so link you to my blog, it'll link you to my book on Amazon, it will link you to my podcast, the Authentically Ashlyn podcast. That's where I talk a lot about my motherhood journey and a lot of F-bombs and a lot of just like laying it out there. So yeah, if you find me over on Instagram and if you're interested in any of those things, please explore them. And yeah, I'd be happy to connect with your audience.
I love your podcast.
Oh, thank you.
For those of you listening, if you like this podcast, you'll love Ashlyn's podcast.
You'll be like, oh my gosh, this girl's edgy.
Oh, it's fantastic.
I call it personal development with a little punch because it's a place where I can be myself.
Yes.
And when you listen to the podcast, I don't want it to be Coach Ashlyn. I don't want it to be Ashlyn who's, you know, talking about health and fitness all the time. I want it to be like, oh, this is what it would be like if I sat down with this chick and we smoked a doobie together, or we had an Aperol spritz and we just like had a coffee, you know, like this is how she'd be in person. So I just, showing up that way.
You do a great job of that.
I'm
in the middle of your sex episode right now. And it's so good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, it's not really me giving advice. I'm just asking questions, but
yeah, it's a good one.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I love how authentic you are.
Oh, I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Well, thanks again for being here. And we'll chat again soon. Definitely.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how your story unravels. It's going to be beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All the layers that I've had to shed over the last 9 months, I've been